May 20th, 2013. An ordinary Monday afternoon in Moore, Oklahoma. But it was only the beginning. Winds reached 210 miles per hour. This is a tornado emergency. Take cover now. An EF5 tornado carved through the heart of a city. 7 children lost their lives in a school. But that was only the beginning. What really happened that day? The morning of May 20th began like any other spring Monday in Moore. Children walked through school doors. Teachers prepared for just 4 more days until summer break. But meteorologists were watching the skies with growing concern. A powerful cold front was pushing eastward toward central Oklahoma. The Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms early that morning. Very large hail and tornadoes were both expected, but no one could predict what was about to unfold. 1:10 p.m., the Storm Prediction Center issued a tornado watch for the eastern 2/3 of Oklahoma. The probability indicated a 40% chance of 2 or more tornadoes. School administrators across Moore were weather aware. This was nothing new for people living in Tornado Alley, but this day would be different. 2:40 p.m., the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning for Cleveland County. Most of Moore's schools are located there. Superintendent Robert Ramines knew they needed to be ready. 2:56 p.m., the first reports came in. A tornado was on the ground near Newcastle, southwest of Moore, moving northeast. The storm was rapidly intensifying. 3:01 p.m., a tornado emergency was issued for Moore. This was not a drill. This was the real thing, and it was heading straight for them. The tornado had touched down about a half-mile south of Oklahoma State Highway 37. Within minutes, it began to grow. What started as a developing funnel quickly transformed into a massive wedge tornado, nearly a mile wide at its base. Witnesses said it did not look like a typical twister. It looked like a giant black wall of destruction bearing down on the city, and it was moving fast. At 3:16 in the afternoon, the tornado struck Briarwood Elementary School with devastating force. Inside, hundreds of children and teachers huddled in bathrooms and interior hallways. Mallory Outen, a 3rd grader, remembers the chaos. They were trying to fit as many kids as they could into the restrooms. Those bathrooms ended up being the only parts of the building that actually stood up. She remembers a mother of another student praying over the crying children. The ceiling fell on Mallory, but she survived. The building was severely damaged, but miraculously no one at Briarwood died. But the tornado was just getting started. As it moved northeast through Moore, it intensified to EF5, the highest rating on the enhanced Fujita scale. Winds were between 200 and 210 miles per hour. Only the most violent tornadoes in history reached this level. The tornado was now over a mile wide, carving through densely populated neighborhoods. Entire blocks of homes were flattened. Trees were completely debarked. Vehicles were thrown and mangled. The ground itself was scoured. At 3:20 p.m., Plaza Towers Elementary School stood directly in the path. Some parents had rushed to pick up their children early, but Tracy Stephen was not so lucky. As soon as she heard the siren, she rushed to Plaza Towers to pick up her 6-year-old daughter, Abigail. When she got there, the doors were sealed. The school was locked down as the tornado drew near. She returned home and got her 2 younger daughters into a neighbor's cellar just minutes before the tornado flattened her family's home. She could only pray that Abigail's school had fared better. Inside Plaza Towers, about 75 students and teachers remained. They followed the emergency plan exactly as they had practiced. The 3rd graders sat against a wall in the hallway, bracing for impact. They did everything right, but the tornado showed no mercy. The building exploded under the force of winds of 200 miles per hour. Walls collapsed. The roof was ripped away. A cinder-block wall fell on the children sitting beneath it. 7 3rd graders were killed. Sydney Engel, Antonia Candelaria, Emily Conatzer, Kyle Davis, Nicolas McCabe, Johnny Hornsby, Christopher Legg. They were just 9 years old. They had their whole lives ahead of them. Superintendent Ramines arrived at the scene. He said they were getting reports that there were 7 3rd graders that they had lost. He said they were there with the families when they were notified. He said he got to go home and see his 2 girls. Those 7 families did not. The tornado continued tearing through Moore. Entire subdivisions were obliterated. The Moore Medical Center was hit, with at least a dozen cars piled up against the front entrance. Well-built brick homes were swept completely away, leaving only bare slabs. In neighborhoods west of Plaza Towers, 9 more people lost their lives. At a 7-Eleven gas station, 3 people died, including a pregnant woman. A homeless person at an intersection was killed. At 3:35 p.m., after 39 minutes on the ground, the tornado finally lifted. It had traveled 14 miles through Newcastle, Moore, and southern Oklahoma City. At its widest point, it was 1.3 miles across. When the winds died down, the true scale became clear. 24 people were dead. More than 200 others were injured. Over 1,150 homes were completely destroyed. The damage was estimated at $2 billion, but the numbers could not capture the human cost. The empty chairs at dinner tables, the children who would never graduate, the families torn apart in seconds. Patrick Smith, who had saved his own daughter, returned to Plaza Towers to help. He found dozens of kids trapped under collapsed walls. As he and other responders lifted what had been parts of classrooms, the kids remained on the ground, too afraid to look up. Some survived. 7 did not survive. In the days that followed, Moore became a community united by grief and determination. Neighbors helped neighbors dig through rubble. Strangers offered shelter to displaced families. But questions haunted the survivors. Should the schools have been dismissed early? Should there have been safe rooms in every building? Plaza Towers and Briarwood Elementary did not have storm shelters at the time. More public schools had storm shelters in only 2 schools. The mindset had been that tornadoes in Oklahoma mostly happen after school hours. May 20th, 2013, shattered that assumption forever. Christopher Legg's mother, Danny Legg, became one of the loudest voices demanding storm shelters in schools. That week after Chris died, she said she did not want this to happen to another person's kid. She fought at the state capitol. She refused to let her son's death be in vain. Today, all 35 schools and more public schools have storm shelters. Superintendent Romanes keeps a clock in his office. Its hands are frozen at 3:18 p.m., the moment the clock stopped when the tornado struck Briarwood Elementary. That clock will stay with me forever. The 7 children would have graduated high school in 2022. During the graduation ceremony, 7 lanterns were displayed along the front of the stage. Even though they are not here with us graduating tonight, their lives still shine and they are still remembered. At Plaza Towers Elementary, there is a memorial. 7 benches line the grounds, each bearing the name of a child. A large tree stands nearby. It is a place where people can come to remember, to grieve, and to promise that their sacrifice changed things. The 2013 Moore tornado was the 9th deadliest in Oklahoma's history. It was the last EF5 tornado recorded in the United States until 2025. It changed how Oklahoma looks at school safety, and it led to stronger building codes and more. Survivors carry the memory with them. Every time dark clouds gather, every time sirens wail, they remember May 20th, 2013. That was the day 25 people lost their lives, and the day 7 children died in a school. They also remember the resilience. Neighbors who pulled survivors from rubble, first responders who worked through the night, mothers who turned grief into action, demanding change so other children would be protected. More rebuilt, stronger, more prepared, more unified. But the scars remain. They remain in the empty foundation slabs where homes once stood, in the clock frozen at 3:18, and in the 7 benches at Plaza Towers Elementary. Every storm eventually ends, but the way we hold each other, the way we fight to protect those who come after us, the way we refuse to let tragedy be meaningless, that remains.